Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hey, my name is Brittany and I talk all things beauty here on my channel. And in today's video, I have got the two new little bitty eyeshadow palettes from Mcgrath Labs. These are her two holiday palettes, and I figured I would do eye swatches since you loved my eye swatching video on the Huda Beauty Empowered palette. So I figured, hey, let's do some eye swatches in today's video as well. So this palette right here is the Bronze Bliss palette. More of a cool tone palette, if you will. And then this one right here is called the Nude Allure palette. This one's kind of neutral with some rosy tones in here. And these retail for $36 each, or you could buy them together for a bundle for $65. And I believe if you use the code HOLIDAY10, you can receive 10% off. So I just got the bundle. I thought that these were just wearable everyday colors, and I love a soft glam kind of look, so I definitely snagged these up. But let me just zoom you in and let's get into these eye swatches. Okay, so I figured we could first start off with this beauty right here, and I'm just going to do the shimmers first, and I'll do the matte shade last. I'm going in with the first shade. So right off the bat, these appear to be very, very soft, and they do have lots of sparkle in them compared to her holiday palette, the Nirvana palette, like the big one. But we're just going to jump on into it, and I'm just going to apply these all over my lid. So this is a kind of like a champagne-y pinky tone. It's like an icy pink. Really, really pretty. Just for like a very beautiful inner corner. Nothing fancy about this shade at all, but still necessary, you know? Now I'm going to go in with this one right here, and it looks more of like a rose gold. It looks pink on the camera, but in person it's got lots of gold sparkles in there, and that's what it looks like on my finger. It's kind of peachy, but I love the sparkles and it's so pretty. Next, I'm going in with this darker shimmer right here. Ooh, it's so beautiful. I love this shade. It's nice and deep. I love like we get super light to super deep within this one palette. So this is what that shade looks like blended out all over the lid. Now I'm going in with the last shimmer, which it's so pretty. It looks like a, let's see, bronze, definitely. Wow. And I'm going to put that all over this lid right here. So this is what that shade looks like. It's a little bit deeper than this tone right here. This one's more rosy. This one has a little bit more bronze to it. But I absolutely love those two shimmers. The last shade I'm going into is the matte shade right here. And just popping, this is really pigmented. Go in very gently if you are considering to buy this palette, because you will get a lot of kick up because it's a very soft shadow. Wow. Oh, that baby is pigmented. So beautiful. It seems to be blending out super easy. So if you just very softly go into this shade, I think you could use this as a transition shade, or, you know, if you go into it a little bit more, you can definitely deepen it up to add definition on the outer corner. But wow, that is a stunning shade. So I'm going to take this off, and then we'll swatch the other palette. Just looking at this palette, I think it is absolutely beautiful. I love how you get some like silvers, like really cool tones, and then you get some more of like a bronzy tones. Very nice. So I'm going to start going in with the very first shade, which is the lightest one. And this palette looks like it has more sparkle than the other one that I just swatched. So I'm just going to start off with this one and pop that all over my lid. This is a very icy white shade, very light. So definitely, for me, I would just use this as like inner corner highlight shade, or a face highlight, but super, super light. It's kind of hard to see on my skin tone because it's so light. Now I'm going in with the true silver in the palette right here. And oh, this shade is, okay, this is like a new formula from her. Like, this is blinding. It's almost like a Super Shock. Feel how soft and squishy it is in the pan. Like, it feels almost wet. I can get down with this formula. Like, keep it up. Wow. Okay, this is blinding. Wow. This is what, when I think of Mcgrath, this is what I'm thinking about. You know, super blinding, beautiful, unique shimmer shades. And that's what that shade looks like blended out. How beautiful. If you get this palette, you're going to fall in love with this shade right here. So I'm going to take this off and let's do the other two. Now I'm going in with this super deep shimmer right here. Ooh, love that. It's such a pretty fall tone. And I'm just going to put that all over my lid. Beautiful bronze, super deep shimmer. I love it. And I like the sparkles in there as well. It helps give it more dimension and more shiftiness to it. That shade is so beautiful. Now I'm going with the very last one right here. This has a few pink sparkles to it. So just going to put that all over my lid. Okay, this is like the prettiest neutral shimmer ever. It is stunning. And that is what it looks like when you blend it all out. So I'm going to take these two shimmers off and do an eye swatch of the matte. This looks like the prettiest charcoal matte ever. How beautiful. Okay, this is going to be super pigmented, just like the other palette. That brown was like intense when you go into it. Now let me just blend it out and see how well it can blend. It doesn't seem to be blending as easy as the brown shade. I'm having to work a little bit more, but it's still fine. I just wanted to note that. The brown and the other palette blended out within a second. This one just takes a little bit more working with. And that is what that beautiful shade looks like. Honestly, this one would be hard for me to use more as like a transition. I would probably have to reach into like my Natasha Denona Glam palette to use some of those mattes instead of just going in with this. But I'm going to take this off and we will jump into the two looks. I'm going to do two looks using these palettes. First, I'm going to start off with the Nude Allure palette right here. And I'm just going to pop into the matte first and just start working that. I'm going to put the most, like first put it in the outer part and then just start softly blending it in. Yeah, this could so be used as a transition shade and a shade to deepen it up. Blends out really, really good. Okay, now let's see. I want to go in with, I'm going to use a little bit of this shade kind of like on the outer part so I can use as many shades as possible. And I'm just going to kind of blend that in with that matte. That shimmer is so, so pretty. Now I'm going to go in with this one right here, which is kind of more of like a rosy, rose peachy shade, and put that all over the lid. Oh, this is probably my favorite shimmer in this palette. I have to use all the shades in this palette, so I want to go in with this more purpley one right here. And just kind of mix that in with the bronze and the peachy tone. Oh, these shimmers are really, really easy to work with. Now for the inner corner, I'm going in with that lightest shade right here. And just popping that right on the center, right on the inner corner. So pretty. Now for the lower lash line, I'm just going to go in with that pretty brown matte. And pop that on the lower lash line. And then we'll jump in to the other look. Okay, now I'm going in, what is this palette called? The Bronze Bliss palette. It's kind of funny that they would call this Bronze Bliss. Oh well, anyways. I'm going in with that pretty gray charcoal shade very softly because it's super pigmented. And I'm just going to start off with that in the outer corner and see if I could make it work as more of a transition shade. Now I want to go in with this more bronzy tone. I'm going to try to use all the shades like I did on my other eye. And I'm just going to take this one kind of on the outer part and help blend it in with that matte. I'm reaching for this one right here. I like the mix of warm and cool tones in this palette. I think that's really unique. Y'all know I have to go in with that silver and put it all over my lid because, wow, that shade is out of this world. It's so beautiful. And I'm going to mainly focus that on like the first third of my eye. Kind of blend all those together. And then on the inner corner, I'm going in with that lightest shade right here and just popping that on the inner corner. I'm going to run the gray on my lower lash line, and then I'm going to add some mascara and I'll be back to show you the finished look. Okay, so here are the 2 looks that I created using these palettes, so I'm going to zoom you out and give you my thoughts. Before I jump into my final thoughts on this palette, I wanted to show you some comparisons. I swatched them on my hand side by side so you could see the differences just like super up close and personal. So this is the first palette that I did, and then here's the Bronze Bliss palette. Now, I'll get into my final thoughts. Okay, so right off the bat, I love the looks I came up with. I love how every single shadow performed. In my opinion, I personally love these way more versus her huge holiday palette. It's just a personal preference. If you are more of a neutral lover, I say just skip this expensive one and kind of pick between these two. So if you like more of a warmer tone brown pinky leaning palette, then I would go with a Nude Allure. And if you love your cool tones, silver with a nice mix of browns, then I would go with a Bronze Bliss, because you get your cool tones, these 3, and then you get some warm tones right here. So I think that if you are eyeing these palettes, you're going to love the formula, and the price point doesn't break the bank as to where this one does. And something else about the formula, because you get 1 matte and you get 4 shimmers. With this palette, I only used it for this video, but typically I would have to reach in to like my Natasha Denona Glam palette to mix with some of those tones to help get more of a seamless blend, just because this is such a deep shade. But it can be used as a transition, but that was just one thing I wanted to note in this video. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know, are these on your wish list? Have you already picked them up? If you can only pick one, which one would you get? But that's going to do it for today's video. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're doing well. I hope that you are healthy, happy, and safe. Stay beautiful. Bye, guys.